IKEA got huge by making you do the last job, and by solving a costly problem hidden inside every furniture truck. Traditional furniture traveled as a finished object. A table rode with its legs attached. A wardrobe moved as one enormous wooden box. You paid to move the wood, but you also paid to move all the air around it. IKEA went after the air. Put the pieces into a flat carton and one truck can carry far more furniture. The box stacks neatly. It is easier to store. A table leg is less likely to snap before the table reaches your house, and the customer can take it home without waiting for a delivery crew. There is, of course, a catch. Somebody still has to build it. IKEA handed that last job to the customer. You get a lower price. IKEA gets a cheaper system that can repeat almost anywhere. And your Saturday afternoon vanishes into a bag of wooden pegs and one tiny hex key. This did not begin as a master plan for global domination. It grew out of a young mail-order seller in rural Sweden who kept worrying at one question: why does this cost so much? Ingvar Kamprad registered IKEA in 1943 when he was 17. The name combined his initials with Elmtarid, the farm where he grew up, and Aganarid, the parish nearby. The early range was not a furniture empire. It included little mail-order goods like pens, wallets, watches, and bags. Mail order made sense in the countryside. A printed offer could travel farther than a shop counter. Goods could move from a supplier to the buyer without an expensive city store in the middle. But mail order was a knife fight on price. If two catalogs sold nearly the same pen, the obvious move was to charge less. Then the other seller charged less. Keep going and something eventually breaks, usually the quality or the profit. Furniture looked more promising. IKEA began adding it to the range in the late 1940s. By 1951, its catalog was focused entirely on home furnishing. Now Kamprad had a trust problem. Ordering a cheap pen through the post was one thing. Ordering a cheap sofa was different. You could not squeeze the cushion through a catalog page. A flattering photograph could make flimsy furniture look respectable. So IKEA opened a permanent showroom in Älmhult in 1953. People could see the low catalog price, then visit and decide whether the furniture felt solid. The showroom was proof that cheap did not have to mean nasty. It also changed the offer. A table by itself is an object. Put it beside chairs, a lamp, and a rug, and it becomes a possible room. Customers were not just inspecting wood, they were picturing home. Established furniture retailers were not delighted. IKEA sold directly, talked loudly about low prices, and cut out middlemen. The Swedish furniture trade pressured suppliers not to sell to it. That could have ended the story. A brilliant catalog is still only paper if nobody will make the products. Instead, the pressure pushed IKEA further into design and sourcing. It could not always buy the same furniture as everyone else, so it worked with manufacturers on furniture of its own. When Swedish supply was not enough, the company looked outside Sweden, including to Poland. This is why the flat box was never just a cute packaging trick. It sat inside a chain of problems. Low prices demanded lower costs. Mail order demanded practical shipping. The boycott demanded new suppliers and more control. Growth demanded a system that could be repeated. IKEA did not invent flat-pack furniture. Knockdown furniture existed already. Its important move was turning customer assembly into a normal part of a huge retail operation. IKEA Museum traces an early turning point to a Swedish supplier that showed Kamprad a sturdy table with fittings suited to home assembly. The 1953 catalog offered tables intended to be assembled by the buyer. Then there was Lervit, the small table launched in the 1956 catalog. Its removable legs helped it fit into a compact package. The popular version of the story has one employee unscrewing legs and inventing IKEA in a flash. The real story is messier and better. Suppliers, fittings, products, damaged shipments, and delivery costs all nudged IKEA toward the flat pack. Once that logic took hold, it began changing the furniture itself. If a chair must fit into a thin box, the designer cannot think only about how it looks in a room. The cuts matter, the hardware matters, the stack in the warehouse matters. So does the tired customer staring at the instructions on the floor. The package becomes part of the product. That is the deeper IKEA idea. Design, manufacturing, transport, retail, and customer behavior all have to solve the same price problem together. Follow one ordinary table. A factory makes the pieces. Flat cartons stack tightly on a pallet. More tables fit in a truck. A warehouse holds more stock in the same space. The customer sees one assembled in a room setting, finds the carton in self-service, slides it into a car, carries it upstairs, and does the final assembly at home. At almost every step, IKEA removes work or hands it over. The customer does more than a traditional furniture buyer. In one sense, that is clearly worse service. IKEA turned the missing service into a visible discount. It made the bargain plain: take on the last mile and keep more money in your pocket. The bargain only works because the rest of the experience supports it. Room displays show the finished result before you confront the box. The warehouse lets you take it immediately. Picture-based instructions reduce the need for an installer. Food and family features make a long visit bearable. Giant stores outside expensive city centers create room for displays, stock, cars, and people arguing about bookcases. What looks like a collection of odd habits is one connected machine. The permanent showroom opened in 1953. The first full IKEA store opened in Älmhult in 1958. A later, much larger store near Stockholm helped establish the out-of-town format with room settings, self-service, food, and parking. The flat carton ties these pieces together. Without it, the warehouse becomes more expensive. Without self-service, the store needs more labor for every sale. Without customer transport and assembly, delivery turns into a bottleneck again. Compact packaging also makes distance easier. A finished cabinet consumes space and can be damaged in transit. Standard cartons move through trucks, warehouses, and customer cars more predictably. That does not make global expansion automatic. IKEA still needed reliable suppliers, useful products, stores, and local knowledge. Flat packing was not magic. It was leverage. And leverage can be annoying. Sometimes the board is backward. Sometimes the screw appears to be missing. Sometimes the instructions look as if they were drawn by a very calm witness who refuses to answer questions. The company saves money partly because the buyer absorbs effort and frustration. There are limits too. Not every object improves when crushed into the thinnest possible parcel. A weak joint does not become good because it ships efficiently. Low prices can encourage replacement instead of repair. IKEA describes its current design approach as a balance of form, function, quality, sustainability, and low price. Those goals can fight. Making something cheaper is simple if everything else is allowed to get worse. The difficult work is lowering the total cost while keeping the product useful. Kamprad's advantage was not simply a love of cheap things. He kept looking for costs customers did not value. Middlemen added cost. Empty truck space added cost. Prime city land added cost. Delivery crews added cost. Storing fully assembled furniture added cost. Some buyers wanted those services. IKEA bet that millions of others would trade them for a lower price and immediate access. That worked especially well for a first apartment, a growing family, or anyone far from a traditional design shop. The buyer did not need a table that announced wealth. The buyer needed a table that fit the room, the car, and the budget. The lesson is not make the customer do the work. People hate work that feels pointless. The better question is this: what work will customers accept when the reward is obvious? IKEA put the reward on the price tag. Then it built a system that made the trade possible. The store showed the dream. The flat box made it movable. The instructions made it buildable. The lower price made the effort feel fair. That is why a competitor can copy the carton without copying IKEA. The box performs only when the product, warehouse, store, supply chain, and customer promise are designed around it. The furniture inside changes. The operating idea barely does. Pack out the air. Remove steps people will not pay for. Let the customer take over a few jobs. Use the savings to reach more homes. Then repeat the system across another product, another truck, another warehouse, and another country. Which part of IKEA's bargain matters most to you? The lower price, taking the box home immediately, or the strange satisfaction of building it yourself? Pick one in the comments. The little hex key gets the joke, but the whole machine behind it is what made IKEA huge.